Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Yesterday I experimented with a live stream. If you haven't seen that video, it's linked right here. How to decode Monday Night Football, Buffalo at Seattle. If you watch that video, fast forward to 3 minutes and 40 seconds because before that I couldn't figure out how to get it to work properly. There was no sound. The visual wasn't coming through. So 3 minutes and 40 seconds. The rest of the video is good. What I'm going to show you in this video is what we overlooked in that live decode. I missed something that I've been missing often, and when I miss the big clue that truly does point to who the winner is. This reader right here, Joe Montano, he caught it. I talked about these numbers in the video. I did not connect the dots. Remember, prime number relationships, super important. In the video, I talked about how Pete Carroll's 65 years old. He was going for his 65th win last night. And I pointed out that his birthday, his upcoming birthday, number 66, is in 313 days. Well, here's a website you need to know about, numberempire.com, numberempire.com. If you type in a number here, it'll tell you about this number. The number 313 is the 65th prime. Pete Carroll, the head coach of the Seahawks, 65 years old, last night going for his 65th win, 313 days from his birthday. Earlier this year, there was a game where the Chiefs were playing the Raiders, and so many things lined up for the Raiders, I overlooked the prime number relationship with Andy Reid, his birthday, the Chiefs' win record. It was that relationship that showed who the scripted winner was. I didn't see that until after the game. Last night I said it was too close to call. A lot lined up for Seattle, some things lined up for Buffalo. Again, yesterday had 54 numerology, Russell Wilson 54. The game was 54 days from Pete Carroll's last birthday. So anyway, 313, 65, the numbers we did not connect. Had we made that connection, that would have shown that relationship with Pete Carroll, his age, the game, his birthday, all the more stronger. That would have been a pretty clear read that the game was scripted for him. In the end, we found out it was. We're going to talk about the sum of the game, 56 points last night. I talked about how Tyrod Taylor equals 56. He came into that game 5-6 on the road. I learned something about the head referee who has named gematria 56 and his history. We'll talk about that. Last night's game, the final score was 31-25. In the pregame, I pointed out that this was going to be the Seahawks' 31st game on Monday Night Football, the 13th game between both of these teams. 31's the reflection of 13. Seahawks win their 31st game on Monday Night Football with 31 points. I also pointed out in the pregame it was going to be the Bills' 42nd game. Washington State's the 42nd state. Buffalo's from the 42nd parallel. Their 42nd game on Monday Night Football. And I said if they lost, they'd be getting their 25th loss. It was also Rex Ryan's 25th game as the coach of the Bills. Bills get their 25th loss with 25 points. Rex Ryan's 25th game. Buffalo Bills in gematria also sums to 45. They're now 4-5 at halftime. The score summed to 45 points. In the pregame, I talked about how 45 was a big number in Week 9. I also talked about how if the Seahawks won last night, home teams would be 7-6, a lot like 76 the year the Seahawks were established. Again, sum of 56 points. I pointed out that the word president equals 56 in the pregame. Seahawks has the same gematria as Clinton, which is 87. If Hillary Clinton wins the presidency, she'll be the 45th president. Bill was 42. 42 plus 45, 87. Just like Clinton equals 87, just like Seahawks, 87. Potential symbolism here. Seattle, a liberal Democratic Mecca, the Democratic team winning. Part of the state that New York's in. New York's a liberal Democratic state, but Buffalo, New York, a little more conservative. Notice the Buffalo quarterbacks had 39 pass attempts. New York equals 39. Last year when the Bills and Jets played each other, they both had 39 combined point scores. Both games last year summed to 39. Every New York Super Bowl won has been centered around the number 39. Won by the Jets, 4 by the Giants. Bills are 0-4. Russell Wilson had 26 attempts. Seattle's the 206 area code. Lose that O, you're right at 26. Special number in gematria. Reason the English alphabet's 26 letters. LaShawn McCoy had 85 yards. The Seahawks improved to 8-5 against the Bills. Lifetime in their 13th game. National Football League equals 85. Notice the Seahawks had a combined 33 yards. Everything on Monday Night Football, there's always a 33 tribute. 33 rushing yards combined, no doubt the tribute. 13 for the leading rusher in the 13th game between these two teams. What a joke. What stood out to me right away were Jimmy Graham's stats at halftime. He had 2 touchdowns, both on one-handed grabs. In the pregame, I said this was going to be a tribute to baseball in the World Series. The Seahawks were used in the 6-6 tie against the Cardinals as a tribute to the World Series, which I pointed out the night after it happened. Think about how Game 7 of the World Series went to 6-6. The Cardinals, who the Seahawks played in that game, are originally from Chicago. They're one of the first 2 teams to create the NFL out of Chicago. They used to be the Chicago Cardinals. They were in Chicago the last time the Cubs were in the World Series, the year 45. Anyhow, Jimmy Graham had 2 one-handed grabs for touchdowns. How do you catch a ball in baseball? Do you catch it with one hand? You know, this is my right hand. I throw with this hand. If I was left-handed, I'd catch with this hand. In baseball, you catch with one hand. 2 one-handed grabs for Jimmy Graham. He finished the game with 103 receiving yards. The Cubs won 103 games this year. Billy Goat equals 103. They overcame the curse of the Billy Goat. What happens if you drop that 0 in the middle of 103? You're right back to 13. 13, a big number on this game. So these are the these are the end of the game stats. We're going to look at the halftime stats as well. Some interesting things in the halftime stats. Before we look at the halftime stats, just as a reminder, yesterday's game was November 7th, 2016, a date with 54 numerology. It's the day that leaves 54 days left in the year. Baseball equals 54, Bills 54, Russell Wilson 54, Buffalo Bills, the small way, also has gematria 54. It was 54 days from Pete Carroll's birthday. Turned out the master riddle was as we talked about, the prime number relationship, getting his 65th win with the Seahawks. We talked about in the pregame how Russell Wilson was also on the path to be a professional baseball player if he wanted, like many NFL quarterbacks, baseball, NFL option. Seahawks used in 2 World Series tributes. Talked about last night how the Seahawks are originally from Miami. Miami Seahawks became the Baltimore Colts. Miami connected to the Cubs through the NLCS 13 years earlier and to the 97 World Series between the Marlins and Indians where the Marlins won in Game 7. They won that Game 7 on October 26th. This year, the Cubs got their first win against the Indians on October 26th, which is Hillary's birthday. Hillary, a Chicago Cubs fan. So anyway, that was information from the pregame. At halftime, I had to laugh because ESPN's timestamp was Jimmy Graham making the one-handed catch with 54 seconds up here. Again, the word baseball equals 54. 54 outs in a complete game. This World Series 2016, by the end of Game 7, the Indians had scored 27 runs and the Cubs. MLB 27, 27 plus 27, 54 like baseball. The last time that happened was the 1948 World Series, which the Indians won. So anyway, here's Jimmy Graham, 54 seconds, 45 combined points. When you write out 45 as a word, it sums to 54. Again, I'm talking about these things before the game. I'm saying look for the baseball tributes. These one-handed grabs were it. These guys are pros. These guys are paid millions. They're talented. They're big men. They can accomplish these things. Probably practice those plays all week. The Seahawks had 28 at halftime. Seattle in gematria is 19, 28, and 82. 28 points at the half. Jimmy Graham at halftime had 94 yards. He would only catch Well, I guess he would catch 2 more balls because he finished with 8 receptions, but only for 9 more yards. So at halftime, he had 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. Look at this right here. If you write out 94 as a word, Jimmy Graham had 94 yards receiving. If you write out 94, it sums to 147 and 57, just like World Series. And this year, the Cubs won their 94th game in their 147th game of the season, exactly 47 days before Game 7 of the World Series. And I predicted after that game that the Cubs would win in Game 7. It was Miguel Montero, number 47, who hit a walk-off home run to get the 94th win in the 147th game, 47 days before Game 7. It was also Miguel Montero, number 47, who knocked in the winning RBI, the 8th run in Game 7. I predicted in spring training the Cubs would win the World Series. 47 days before the World Series, I showed why they would win in Game 7, November 2nd, 11/2, 112th World Series. Let's not forget that the first Seahawks tribute came in Glendale, Sunday Night Football against Arizona on the 112th Meridian, 1-1-2, 6-6, just like the tie for the extra inning in Game 7 of the World Series. Jimmy Graham also wears the number 88. Curse of the Billy Goat equals 88, which the Cubs were under. Billy Goat, the big way, equals 103. Jimmy Graham finished with 103 yards. During the time of the World Series, the Chicago City lost their longtime radio broadcaster, Herb Ken, at age 88. Bill Murray lost his mother in the year 88 on November 2nd, 28 years to the day. Said he was the world's biggest Cubs fan. The way the second half ended was with a missed field goal, 54-yarder. On the date with 54 numerology by the Bills, who have bad deja vu with field goals and Super Bowls and losing 4 Super Bowls straight, all scripted. There's a reason they call it football. How many games in this league are decided by kickers? Did you guys see the shank punt at the end of last night's game? The spot where they gave it was questionable. They said it only went 27 yards. Yesterday had the 27 numerology, the baseball number. I saw in the New York game, I saw the referee spot the ball at least 5 yards off from where it should have went out, and they ended up saying it was a net punt of 39 yards. Remember, New York equals 39. Only 2 states in the whole nation equal 39, New York and Arizona. Anyway, my point is, they script these games by the numbers. When they don't hit the numbers they want, they even force it. If you pay attention to where they spot balls, especially on kicks, pay attention. This weekend's game, Giants-Eagles, they purposefully brought the ball about 5 yards off the mark to make it 39, and then the announcer was sure to say, wow, only a 39-yard kick. Again, 39 New York, Bills and Jets last year, both scores summing to 39 points. Bills and Jets equal 54. Watch my video from the beginning of the season, how I showed the Jets were going to win that game over the Bills by the numbers. Also, I pointed out before the game yesterday, Russell Wilson was going for his 58th win. The Seahawks' first scoring drive of the game was a 58-yard drive. That was a sign right away when they put that up on the screen, 58-yard touchdown drive. Wilson going for his 58th win, Freemasonry 58, Secret Society 58, Washington 58, named after George Washington, a master Mason. Coming into the game, the Seahawks had the record 4-2-1. You know, rare tie. The tribute game. This season, the NFL, it was the first season to have back-to-back ties 2 weeks in a row. Week 7 Sunday Night Football. First game week 8 in Wembley in the UK. That game was the Redskins versus the Bengals from Ohio during the time of the World Series. Redskins, Indians, Ohio, Cleveland Indians. The final score of that game was 27-27, a sum of 54 like baseball. It ended with a missed 34-yard field goal by the Redskins kicker. Indians equals 34. I said that was a sign Indians would lose later that day. Game 5. Indians didn't win any more games. It's all scripted. Cleveland in the NBA Finals came back 3-1. Look what happened to Cleveland's baseball team. Cubs come back 3-1. Anyway, Seahawks record, 4-2-1, a lot like the number 421, which is the 82nd prime number. Why is that interesting? Because Seattle equals 82, And last night was Russell Wilson's 82nd game. He was coming in with 81 games played, 57 wins. In his 82nd game, he got his 58th win. Seattle 82, 58 Washington. It was a nail-biter. I saw this story this morning, and it made me connect with a comment that somebody else left. Notice what it says here. Referee Walt Anderson's blunder during Bills Seahawks game must be addressed. They're saying that the right call wasn't made by Walt Anderson at the end of the half, which resulted in the 54-yard field goal, which was so symbolic and purposeful. Notice this timestamp is a minute 08. We just saw the Cubs in the 108-year drought. Major League in gematria equals 108. 108 double stitches on a baseball. Willis Tower in Chicago is 108 stories tall. They changed the name to Willis Tower. Willis Tower equals the same thing as World Series. Anyway, let me show you this. This man, Walt Anderson, he was the head official for Super Bowl 45. And I want to show you something about Super Bowl 45 and this game last night. The Bills fell to 4-5. Buffalo Bills equals 45. 45, the reflection of 54. The score was 25-31 against Seahawks' 31st Monday Night Football game. Bills' 25th loss on Monday Night Football. The name Walt Anderson in gematria sums to 47, and with the S exception, 56. Seattle's on the 47th parallel, special number to the NFL. Sum of the score, 56. Tyrod Taylor, 56. President tribute, president. The word president's just like this, 47 and 56. Super Bowl 45, which Walt Anderson, the only Super Bowl he's been the head official for. The Steelers lost to the Packers 25-31, and right away, just thinking about this game, I see the parallel. The Seahawks' first Super Bowl was against the Steelers, which they lost. A lot of people say that was the most clearly biased officiated Super Bowl game ever. The officials were very heavy for the Steelers and the retiring Jerome Bettis. I'm not even a Seahawks fan. I actually hate the Seahawks, even though I live up here. Even as a Seahawks hater, I could see how scripted that game was for the Steelers. Of course, they're always scripted. But anyway, it's the exact same score, 56 points. Walt Anderson equals 56. I showed how in this past Super Bowl, way before I knew who the official would be, how it was all scripted for the Broncos. But then when the head official was named, I showed how everything about that official lined up with the Broncos. So also, anyway, Seahawks have played the Steelers in the Super Bowl. Regarding the Packers, they have major relationships. They have Mike Holmgren. They have Matt Hasselbeck, who faced the Steelers in that Super Bowl. The only reason Marshawn Lynch ever ended up on the Seahawks is because the Packers didn't want him. There was a point in the history of the NFL, and just think about this. There was a young Aaron Rodgers who was a talented quarterback who had no running back, and the whole NFL was saying, if he had a running back, I think they'd be winning Super Bowls. Well, then suddenly Marshawn Lynch became available on waivers because Buffalo got rid of him. Buffalo, who just lost to the Seahawks. And I still remember the story back then in the media was the Packers were going to pick up Marshawn Lynch. You know, that was going to be a deadly combo. The former Cal teammates, Aaron Rodgers, Marshawn Lynch, played at the same school. Well, then, the Packers manager said he didn't want Marshawn Lynch because of his attitude or something. So the Seahawks were next in waiver priority, and they got him. And, of course, Marshawn Lynch is the reason the Seahawks are credited with becoming a good football team again. You know, they were in the gutter. They got behind Marshawn Lynch. They end up winning a Super Bowl. I'm sure Packers fans who remember that think, man, what would have happened if we got Marshawn Lynch? Anyway, it's all a script. It's all a joke. Look how all these teams connect. Packers, Seahawks, Steelers, Seahawks, Bills. You know, I said Pete Carroll used to coach the Patriots and the Jets, playing the Bills from that same division, AFC East. Walt Anderson, I couldn't find his birthday, but I saw he became an NFL official in 96. Freemason, 96, the big way, 42, the small way. Again, 42, a big number on the game last night. Tyrod Taylor's birthday was 96 days from the game. When you add all the numbers that divide into 42, they sum to 96. The Super Bowl he officiated, it was also in Arlington, the Cowboys Stadium. Walt Anderson, 47, like Arlington. 56 with the S exception. Fitting Super Bowl for him to officiate. Wears the number 66. NFL and Jewish gematria 66, the year of the first Super Bowl. His nickname, Dr. Walt Anderson, equals 168 like New York City. And last night's game, Bills playing Pete Carroll, who used to coach in New York City, the Jets. Jets 54. 54 days from Pete Carroll's birthday. There's riddles here. There's tributes. There's a lot going on in the scripting, you know? So to take away from this video, a lot of information here. These prime number relationships. Get on your number empire. When you get those numbers out that we calculated last night, you know, you want to be thorough. You want to be punching in all this information and connecting as many dots as you can. We punched that one in last night. It might have been the one that said, okay, you know. Looks like it's here for the Seahawks. But again, it can be difficult. Buffalo Bills in gematria sums to 45, 54, and 117. And look at last night's game, November 7th, 11/7, 54 date numerology. There's a reason the Bills were playing last night. And perhaps, you know, had the money been different in Vegas, perhaps in the end they might have tilted it towards the Bills. So again, that's the thing that's difficult about this. There's always a lot of ties. You got to see where the strongest narratives are. You know, Russell Wilson's 82nd game, the 4-2-1 record, the alignment with Pete Carroll. Like I said in the video, Seahawks are the safe bet, but the Bills, they could pull it out. Sometimes these games are a lot harder to call than others. So anyway, prime numbers, always check them. Use your number empire. And referees, officials, they might be worth giving a look at, you know. Also, that over-under for a game always tells a lot. The over-under again last night was 43. It's cut off right there, but you can see it, the OU 4-3. Seattle Seahawks equals 43, the only Super Bowl they ever won with 43 points. Might have been telling us the game was in the Seahawks' favor. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.